So these are the assembly instructions for my tower with boxes. These two pieces will form my base. I'm just folding down on the score lines. There are two score lines that run vertically. The second one forms a tab. I'm just putting glue from the score line to the edge all along one of the tabs, gluing the second panel right up to the score line. So I want the cut edge of my second panel to be right on the score line of the first one. So that forms the base of my tower. So then I have the decorative elements for the inside and for the outside of my tower. I have my wide green pieces that have the cutouts in them, and then I have the narrow green pieces, and they each have an orange base. And these are going to go on the outside of my box, like so. And then I have my lid piece. I'm just folding down on all the score lines for my lid piece. And I also have some decorative panels for the edges of my lid piece, and there's a reason why I'm bringing them up right away. I have these decorative pieces that I've cut out of iron-on, and I want to apply them to the panels before I glue them onto my box. I have two sizes here. I have the shorter ones and the longer ones. The shorter ones are going to go at the base of my box like so, and the longer ones are going to be applied to my orange decorative pieces for the lid, and then eventually applied to the top of my lid. So I want to apply my iron-on to my cardstock pieces. So I'm using my Easy Press Mini, and I've got it set to the low temperature. So according to the heat guide, I need to use my heat press on lowest temperature for 25 seconds to apply my everyday iron-on to cardstock. I have my 4 green panels, and I have the smaller version of this image. I'm just going to warm my cardstock up for 5 seconds. This just takes out the humidity. So I'm positioning my iron-on at the bottom of my panel, about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. I'm using some parchment paper. I'm applying heat for 25 seconds while moving my press. So the reason why I used iron-on for these images is because with that amount of detail, it's much easier to weed and to apply iron-on. So this iron-on is a cold peel, so I'm just going to set it aside, and I'm going to do the 3 others the exact same way. So once they're cool to the touch, you just want to remove the backing. Next, I have the orange borders for the lid of my box. So my image goes edge to edge with the bat's ears being right at the top and that border being right at the bottom. And I'm going to apply them exactly the same way as for the other images. Once they're cool to the touch, I'm just going to remove the liner for those as well. So I have my card base, and I'm looking at the outside of it. So I've got a narrow sliver on my left-hand side. Then I have all of my orange panels and my green panels, which are going to go on top. So I'm going to glue them down as you see them, except I'm going to try to keep an even border all the way around. So for my print and cut images, I basically have 2 groups. I have one group that are going to be used as stickers, and they're all attached to the same print and cut page in the file. And then I have a second group that I have just printed on plain white cardstock. I'm attaching these images to a black 80-pound cardstock base. So I'm just putting glue on the back of them and adhering them to their base. So when I'm gluing these images to the panels on the side of my box, I need to place them more or less centered on the panel, but keeping in mind that the top of the box will be approximately here. I want my image to be more or less centered vertically, like so. So if you remove the lid, it actually looks like it's closer to the bottom than the top, but you have to take the lip of the lid into consideration. So I'm just moving the other ones so they're placed approximately the same height. I'm just going to glue them down the way you see them here. So now that I've decorated the outside of my box, I'm going to flip that whole piece over, and then I have my green strips with the cutouts in them. There's one full strip, and it gets placed here. And then there's another one that has a notch cut out of it, and it gets placed here with the notch placed at the top. Now for the 2 others, so one of them has the notch a little bit lower down than the other one. So that one goes here. And then we're going to rotate this one and put it here. I have some purple panels that are going to cover my green ones. I'm putting them all together. So these are all the same size, and these 3 are squares that are the same width, but a different height. So I'm taking the 3 squares, and then I have 3 squares which are cut out of gold foil craft board, and I'm going to layer my purple squares on top of them. Just putting glue on the back of each one of these purple squares, applying them to the gold base, and I'm trying to keep an even border all the way around. The base pieces for all 3 boxes look like this, and I'm just going to fold down on all the score lines. So I'm folding down on this tab that's on one of the sides, and then I'm going to fold it towards me. All the other ones are folded away from me. This one is folded towards me. And then I'm taking one of my decorative panels that I've just assembled. I have the tab at the top, I have 2 blank panels, and then I'm going to glue it down on the bottom panel that's at the center. And then I'm going to flip my piece around. The panels in the center that forms like a plus sign are all full squares, whereas the ones on the perimeter are missing a little wedge on the sides. So as they get folded into the box, they help reinforce the sides. So I'm folding the left top tab down and putting glue all over it. I'm going to lift it up and then lift that back panel up. So I want the cut edge of my panel to be right against the score line of my tab. I've got that piece down on the mat and I'm just spreading that glue. So now I've got the tab that's on the other side, and I'm just going to put glue all over it. So I'm raising up the panels that are on my right side, and I'm just making sure that the cut edge of my panel is right against the score line of my tab. And then I'm going in with my bone folder and I'm spreading the glue again. So now I'm going to fold this tab back and put glue all over it. And then I've got my tab on the right hand side and I'm putting glue all over on the outside of it. So I'm folding my right side panel inwards, and then I'm folding that panel at the front upwards, and that's going to form my box. So I just want to make sure that the cut lines are right against the score lines. If everything is nicely in position, I'm just going to go in and spread that glue. And I'm going to assemble all 3 boxes the exact same way. Now I have my 3 boxes with their tabs. So I have my second panel. I'm putting glue from the bottom of the cutout all the way down to the bottom of the panel. And then I'm going to insert my tab into the cutout. I'm going to flip my box around. I just want to glue my box down so that there's an even black border that pokes out behind my green. I'm putting glue on my tab and folding it downwards like so. Then I'm putting glue all along the back, and then I'm flipping it over. The bottom of my box has to be flush with the bottom of my base, and each side should be just along the score lines. My box closes up nicely. I want to make sure that that box closes up nicely. I'm going to skip to the last panel on my right hand side. So this box goes at the top like so. With my panel facing upwards, I'm just putting glue all along that top part. And just to make sure that I have it right, I'm also putting glue on the box that I'm using in that space. For this one, I'm positioning my box so that that green is right at the top and that there's an even border on both sides. And then I'm putting glue on my tab, gluing it down, and I'm just covering my panel with glue. I'm going to flip it over and I'm positioning it so that my box is right between those score lines, and I want about 1/8 of an inch border at the bottom. And just check it at every stage just to make sure it still folds up nicely. So then we have that middle panel. I'm just putting glue below that opening. And then I'm going to take my box and put glue at the bottom of the box as well. And then I'm positioning it in the slot in the opening. And so looking at the back of it, making sure there's an even border on both sides, nice and straight. I'm putting glue on the back of the tab, folding that tab down. Before I glue the panel in, I'm dry fitting it just to make sure that it all fits. Flipping my box, so I'm looking at the panel, and I'm going to cover the panel in glue as well. I'm gluing my panel in place, again making sure there's an even border. So there's 1/8 of an inch border at the top and 1/8 of an inch border at the bottom, and then it closes up quite nicely. So now I have the last panel on the left hand side. I'm just going to glue that in. So now we're going to work on the lid. I have my border pieces that I've prepped earlier. I want them all positioned so that the bats are closest to the center. And then I have a panel that goes in the middle like that. I'm just going to glue them down, as you see here, trying to maintain an even border all the way around. So to assemble the lid, I'm just putting glue on one of the corner tabs. It doesn't matter which one. I'm just folding down the neighboring panel and I'm joining the cut edge of it to the score line on my tab. And I'm just going along, I'm doing the exact same thing for all 4 tabs. So now I'm left with these 4 flaps on each side. I'm putting glue on each one of them and then folding them inwards. And then I'm just going in with my bone folder and I'm just spreading that glue. So these extra flaps just serve as a reinforcement for my lid. And so my lid fits on top of my box like so. So I have my purple rectangles. They are taller than they are wide. If they are the same width as the green panel, you've got them in the wrong orientation. So you just have to rotate them and they just fit like so. So I'm just going to glue them down, trying to maintain an even green border all the way around all my pieces. So I mentioned earlier that the print and cut images that I put on the side of my box are printed out on plain white cardstock. But in the file, I have some smaller images that are attached. So for the smaller stickers, I'm using Cricut printable vinyl and I'm using the silver. If you flip the packaging over, there's a QR code and you can use your camera on your phone to scan this QR code. It will lead you to the directions on how to use this product. So I'm just going to peel my stickers off my mat, and what I've done, so I have an offset around the image that is a kiss cut, which means it'll cut through the first layer of my sticker, but not through the backing. I've created a second offset around my images, and I've layered up 3 cuts around my image that will cut through to create these stickers. The only image that doesn't have that cut around it is the 2023 Halloween, because I'm using that for the topper for my box. Obviously need a new blade because it didn't go right through. So for my sticker that says 2023, I have an 80-pound cardstock base that's the same size as the sticker, and I'm just going to adhere it directly on the base. And so for the rest of them, I'm just going to peel away that outer layer and any of the cutouts that are inside the image. What this does is it makes it very easy for somebody just to peel away the sticker and apply it. I've designed this little envelope just folding down on all the score lines. I have a black semicircle that I'm going to glue on top of the opening. I'm just putting glue around the cutout, and then I'm putting glue around the perimeter of my semicircle. I'm just gluing this in place like so. And then I'm folding down one side and I'm just putting glue just along the cut edge and folding the other side over. And then I'm putting glue on the bottom flap and folding the bottom flap up. That's going to form a little envelope. I'm going to put my stickers in the envelope. I'm going to put them in one of the little boxes. So if you gift this to a child or somebody who enjoys stickers, you can fill the boxes with candy, but they also have a little envelope with stickers inside, and they can decorate the interior of their box all by themselves. Next, I have the topper for the lid of my box. This is my easel piece. I'm just folding down on the score line that's at the bottom, and then I'm folding down on the score line that's at the center. That forms a half triangle, and then I'm folding down on that semicircle that's in the middle. So just folding that away from me. And then, so if I fold the triangle, fold it at a 90-degree angle like so, and then I fold my semicircle piece down like so, that creates my little easel. So I'm putting glue all over the pieces that remain flat once I've folded my easel into position. And then I have my image. I'm just gluing it on top so that the edges are flush. So now I'm going to take the lid of my box and I'm going to flatten my easel piece, and I'm putting glue just on the tab, so from the score line to the edge of the tab, and I'm laying my piece flat on my lid piece. I want my image more or less centered on my lid, and so then I'm going to fold back that triangle, pull back the semicircle, and that's just going to go on the top of my box like so. So I've taken 3 of my favorite images and I'm just peeling them off their backing and just applying them to my 3 boxes like so.